What's going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to another SLA video. All right, guys, we have 2 days before I'm on vacation for a week. Please note, for the next week, I will be doing no live streams whatsoever. Kanai is apparently supposed to be coming out at least February the 13th. So the following week, when I am back, all of the live streams are going to go pretty ham. We should be doing a Sharp live stream, a Korean live stream, plus the release testing, hard mode, WOBL, plus a lot more to come, and more games, of course, being covered. Now, in this specific video, we're going to cover the best skills to use for every piece of content. There is always people asking the same question. Hey, Payne, what skills should I use for X amount of content? So we're going to go over every piece of content that's available, that's important, and what skills you should be using for that content, and what SJW skills will carry you with each piece of that content as well. Okay, now before I go any further, of course, guys, please note I am doing a horror series as well. If you're interested in horror games, my reactions are pretty damn priceless, I have to say myself. I've rewatched and laughed my own ass off. Check out the Amenti horror live stream that I put together. I'm actually putting the video out for the full playthrough. Plus, I'm doing Outlast 1. I did hard mode for the first time ever. I've never played the game before. Did hard mode and we finished it on live stream. It was priceless. It was an amazing time. We're going to be doing some more horror things along the way with SLA and other games, of course, as they come out. As I'm trying to expand my channel. So if you're a big supporter of mine, if you like me as a personality, feel free to check those things out. You'll see a different side of me that you've never seen before. With that also being said, before we continue with the video, guys, of course, there is the supporter program. A brand new code is going to be coming out very soon. I've already submitted the mission for it. So you guys will be getting those as well. Click that support button. You guys will get 6 free codes sent your way. If you're already a supporter, thank you so much. Of course, my top 10, I appreciate you and love you. My top 100, all the way down to my top 7,494th. You guys are all appreciated. Remember, you will need to extend your support starting February 3rd, which is, I think, or maybe even tomorrow, actually. And you guys, in order to keep all of your points, in order to keep on the list for codes for the next coming season. So please, guys, remember to go and do that. I'll talk more about that in the next video. All right. Now, with that being said, I apologize. I know that's 2 minutes worth of different things. Let's go over the skills and talk about the different game modes. Now, there's going to be, I'm going to talk about 3 main game modes. I'm going to talk about Guild Boss, we're going to talk about WOBL, and we're going to talk about POD, okay? And story mode, I think you guys are pretty aware of how that works. You can pretty much use whatever skills you want to finish it. Battlefield of Time, it all depends on the element, of course. Battlefield of Trials, same scenario. Pretty much you can use any of the main skills. Any of these skills that I talk about, as a matter of fact, could be used for that, okay? But we are going to start off with the most popular current topic right now, and that's WOBL. And we're going to focus strictly on Deimos more than anybody else. All right, now let's go to SJW and talk a little bit about the skills that are going to matter the most for this coming up WOBL. I've done this already a little bit, I think, like before, but we're going to talk about the main skills, and we'll talk about some other skills you can use at the same time. So the main skills that are going to do the most amount of damage for this WOBL are going to be Sonic Stream, Double Down, and you're looking at Electric Shock. These two are the main 2 damage dealing skills currently for this specific fight. All right, there's nothing that's going to beat these two for it. So if you're looking for pure damage, Electric Shock and Double Down. This is, by the way, my pay to win account. Now, a couple of things I want to remind you guys. It is important to also level up your skills. These skills right here, the levels, you do want to level them up. Use your skill scrolls, get them up. It's not the only way to get them to level up is by getting the runes and higher levels of them. You also want to use your skill scrolls to get these up. So definitely focus on getting these up, because it will change the percentages and the amount of damage they do. So when it comes down to the first 2 best damage dealing skills for the brand new WOBL, Electric Shock and Double Down. Okay, those are going to be 2 important. Now, a backup one, if you do have the fan and if you have Phoenix Bow, you can also use Sonic Explosion as a backup. You can see the damage is a lot higher, but Double Down does do more damage overall because it does higher hit skills. The beauty of Sonic Explosion, though, is it does give you a 100% core gauge and also does more damage on the core gauge itself for 7 seconds. So if you're using the Phoenix Bow, and if you're using the fan, this here is actually a very, very good option to go with. So those are probably the top 3 damage dealing WOBL, upcoming WOBL skills, okay, the ones that are currently out now. Now, if we're going to talk about the best breaking skills, that's a whole different story, right? There's 2 major ones that you want to focus on, and there's going to be like a 3rd one here that I really personally like. So the first 2 major ones, if you're going to be running fire, is going to be Decimation here. It does require you to charge it, by the way, to get the full effect, and there is quite a long charge on it. But when you do charge it, it does insane amount of damage. It does also increase your critical hit damage by 80% for 5 seconds, so that will boost your damage output even further. And then the second one here that I really do like a lot is going to be Explosion with the dagger skills. sorry, the dagger rush skill. And this one here actually is also another holding skill, does a very similar amount of damage, but the difference is you also get a shield when you're doing it, so you cannot actually lose health, or you most likely won't lose health, and you won't get damage during the skill or interrupted. So when the skill does hit though, it also does equal to 100% of your attack as well too, as bonus damage. So depending which one you're running, both of them are extremely powerful and probably the best break skills. Two more break skills I do want to mention as well, just in case you want to use them, that I'm a big fan of personally, is going to be the light one here, multi-shadow strike. The beauty of this one here is, number one, you go invincible, so you can avoid a lot of the upcoming damage that goes through with the Deimos fight, and then also it increases your defense by 20% for 30 seconds, stacking up to 5 times. So this one is actually a pretty damn powerful skill to use, especially if you're running a fairly like a warmongerish SJW, or any skills that he may have, or any blessing stones that he may have, or any weapons that he may have. That skill off of defense will work really well here, of course. Okay, so that one's a really good one. And then another one here, just out of the sake of showing it, it's a heavy break, not an almighty break like the other three I just showed, but this one does also increase critical hit damage by 50% for 12 seconds. And if you are for some odd reason using Commander's Touch, it will reset it. But Earth Shock is really good, has a lower cooldown, and also has a pretty high critical hit damage increase rate for you. So those are my favorite break skills. A couple more you can use if you like. This is not a bad option. So Enlightening Break or Ascension Break. Ascension Break allows you to get your ultimate up quicker, so you can cast ultimates more often, and this here leaves a little bit of a dot for more damage, of course, that you can do, and also decreases the attack of the opponent by 20%. But I wouldn't put these ones before the ones I just mentioned, so remember, do get those skills up. So those are the best skills for the upcoming WOBL. If I'm missing one, of course, please let me know in the comment section, and we can talk more about that there. All right, now let's move over to POD. My PODs are pretty straightforward on the dragon. Depending on the element that you're fighting, of course, things will change, but I want to talk about some of the most powerful ones that everybody uses and why they're being used. So number one, Vacuum Wave. Okay, Vacuum Wave is incredible pretty much for this and Guild Boss when we talk about that as well. The reason why is it's got an almighty break, but on top of that, whenever you hit the opponent with the skill, even if it's a slight touch, not the full break, the opponent takes damage up to 15% more for 12 seconds, which also increases the target's damage taken by vertical arts by 30%. So that's huge. And speaking of vertical arts, that's going to be the next one that's huge. If you are looking to double break hands all the time, crosshairs. If you have legendary crosshairs, this will, if you manually target both hands with the camera, so you also put manual camera, and you can aim at one hand and hit the other, you will non-stop break those hands. And with Vacuum Wave, this will continuously do full-on damage, and plus it deals 120% more damage on bosses and elite monsters. So the dragon is considered an elite monster or a boss, so you will definitely get that as well too. So those are two of the most incredible skills to use on any POD. It does not matter what the day is, okay? Another one that used to be extremely popular, still is fairly popular, is Reap, but no longer being used for the purpose that it had before, which is to do Counter-Strike and then get your Shadow Step. So don't use this one as much, guys. It's not as recommended anymore. Instead, what we use now is Sunder. That's right, Sunder does incredible damage and also does a full-on increase of critical hit rate by 15% for 12 seconds. So that's another very popular one. Electric Shock is also very popular for light days, if you plan to use light days. Double Down is also very popular. And then the most popular out of all of these when it comes down to damage is usually Sonic Stream here, Magnifying Slashes. Everybody knows how popular this one is. And then lastly, one that's actually been used fairly often lately is going to be Dispersion. Now Dispersion, the beauty of this one is if you drop it right in the middle of the dragon's head right from the start, it actually branches out and it actually hits both hands and can break both hands fairly instantly if you are using it correctly. So Dispersion is a massive big upgrade to killing the dragon's hands and breaking him nonstop if you don't use Crosshair. So what you essentially do is you use it once, watch it break both hands, do your damaging skills, get in the middle of the dragon's head, and again with manual camera, drop it right in the middle again, and as the dragon's coming back up with the head, you'll see both hands kind of pop up with it, and then Dispersion is hitting far enough, if you time it, that'll break both hands again, down goes the dragon. So if you're not using crosshairs, and especially on dark days when you have Dispersion available, especially at legendary, you will do the most amount of break damage on this. Plus it's an incredible good tool to use with Magnifying Slashes as well as the Moonshadow Daggers and Plum Sword. So very powerful, and those are probably, I'd say, some of the best skills to use when it comes down to POD, right? So that's Path of Destruction. All right, and then lastly, Guild Boss, guys. Guild Boss is pretty straightforward, depending on what kind of setup you're using, whether it's damaging or damage spec SJW or the support spec SJW. And yes, there are two differences, obviously. Support spec, I still personally, because I have it, I use Ascension Break on my free-to-play, but usually you don't want to use Ascension Break anymore. What you ideally always want to use is Vacuum Wave. This is a must. There is nothing better than Vacuum Wave when it comes down to, so this is a must-have for the support version of him. As a matter of fact, this is probably a must-have for both versions, support and damage, so consider that. And then the other one here is up to you. You can either use Cold Ice, which is pretty good if you can stay within the 5-meter range that's required. You actually end up doing 10% more damage to the target. That includes the team. Or you can use this Breach one here, which actually does fairly well as well too for support, and that actually stacks critical hit damage on the boss up to 7 times, and allowing everybody else to do crit hit damage on the boss because of that. So those are the most popular ones for the support version of SJW. Now, I might be missing one. I'm trying to think here. Is there one that I'm missing? I don't think so, but I'm pretty sure those are the ones that you want to use more than anything. Now, when it comes down to the damage dealing SJW, the one that you have, you know, legendary magnifying slashes, just nothing beats it. It's still the best out there. So because you're using the Grimoire and you're using the Moonshadow daggers, magnifying slashes, Moonshadow daggers go like bread and butter. It's just perfect. It's a perfect pairing, right? So you absolutely want to use this as your main skill when it comes down to SJW as a DPS. Okay, only if you go DPS spec as legendary. If you have this legendary, you absolutely want to use this. And then secondary with it is going to be Vacuum Wave, and those are the best skills for currently Guild Boss. Now, if you don't know how to do a full Guild Boss run, you can go check out any of my free-to-play videos on Guild Boss. I've done a lot of pay-to-win ones as well on live streams, so you can check those out to see how the rotation should work. But if you have these skills, use these skills. They're going to give you the best bang for your buck when it comes down to those 3 pieces of content. All right, folks. Thank you so much for watching. Weapon tier list coming up next. I just realized I didn't put one together for you guys, so we're going to talk more about the fan and where it falls, and it's a must-have pretty much for any content that's fire related. All right, guys, thank you again for watching. See you guys in the next one. Take care.